Hello. I'm here. Oh god. So this is gonna be a very short stream. Uh yeah, there is a lot to do. Kind of frantic times. Um but I didn't want to miss something on the stream schedule, so yeah, we'll be doing a little bit of game development work, I suppose. So there's only a little more to do on this boss in terms of designing the attacks. We can go quickly give this a playtest. I'm also realizing I forgot to tweet, so I will go quickly tweet while waiting. Alright, um, okay, yeah. There we go. So the game is up. Oh god. Oh god. Alright. Somehow got through that. Alright. Whatever. I'm gonna skip to that attack and just take it from there, basically. Oh god. Okay, so that's the current final attack. Of course, I still feel like there is room for improvement there. Yeah, so for one, we need to actually indicate this attack correctly. I'm gonna go into here and quickly do that. I believe this is the wide open one. Yeah, okay. Then we copy this. Change this to 8. Now we are gonna have to have 2 warnings here. And the second warning has to be here, I believe. Yep. That should all be fine. Okay. Now that I think about it, I may not have to indicate the boss itself. Just because the boss doesn't technically make any bullets. So I can probably afford to get away with that. Now that I think about it, that doesn't seem correct. Hang on. Let's see this. Okay. Yeah. So we need this instead. So I believe this should work correctly. Banger, by the way. So I actually think I'm gonna check the indicators on this. Okay, so that one's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, cool. They're all good now. Oh god. Alright, well that's fine. So I have a perfect idea for an attack that could like finish this fight off. Although I do have to find like something good to grab from here. So like, do I have an attack that comes from all angles yet? I need to double check this. So we have. Let's look at this. Oh, slimes come from all angles, technically. Okay. Where do we... Which attack is the slimes? In that case. Okay, attack 22. Okay, so this is what determines the spawn position. Fair enough. Okay, so we go all the way down here. We can paste this. Then we do this. Now, of course, I'm gonna backspace that a bit. So I believe this is unnecessary. Now, I do want to quickly check this sprite. Okay, so we don't necessarily have to go that far. Can do this instead. Now, we do need to make sure that we set the speed correctly and everything. So I'm gonna copy this instead. Just trying to figure this out. I believe we can just do a VOD angle. So we can just calculate the angle here. This would be an angle of 0 because that's spawning on the left. This would be an angle of 270. This would be an angle of 180. This would be an angle of 90. Do angle there. We're not even gonna have any acceleration. We're gonna just crank up the lifetime. No bouncing. No need for this. And this should essentially make it so that fire will come from all angles. Although I do also have to turn up the phases. Okay. Okay. So the game crashed. And I know why. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's because we actually do need to set this. Even if it's setting it to nothing. Okay. Just gonna skip back to the attack that we were working on. Although, of course, I'm still gonna play through this one just to get a feel for it since it's one of the newer attacks. Okay, so there's too many bullets currently, for sure. But that is more or less the effect that I wanted. So we're gonna double this. It should half the amount of bullets on screen. And we'll see from there how we feel. Okay, still a bit too many bullets towards the end. So I'm thinking maybe we turn up the speed of them and then also slightly nerf this. Come on. Okay. Ooh, okay. Just a little too tight. Okay, so I have a pretty cool idea here, actually. What if we added the timer to the amount of speed, but just at a certain scaling rate? This might be not harsh enough for now, but we'll see. And we could actually set this to all bullets. So the idea is that this is going to be an attack that you have to time out. It's sort of the idea that I had. Ooh. I still feel like that's slightly too rough on the spawn timer. Ooh. I'm just gonna keep nerfing this until it feels fair, honestly. Let's try 7. Okay, so that almost feels fair. I'd probably knock it down just one more notch. So, like, do this. But then I also want to turn up the speed scaling, just so it's a bit more noticeable. Oh, whoops. Well, that target isn't supposed to be here, but just pretend that it isn't. Oh, I suck. Okay, hang on. Oh, okay. That is still very rough. I mean, sometimes you just end up in situations like that that just feel undodgeable. Also, I don't know if that's working correctly. Like with the timer scaling. Hmm. Oh, it doesn't because it has a max directional speed at this point. Okay. That makes a bit more sense. So we're gonna crank this up to like 40. Which that definitely isn't how high it's gonna go, but I'm just accounting for a bit of leeway. Forgot to skip, by the way. Alright, let's see how this feels. I think I actually accidentally skipped the speed up there, so let me just make sure that it actually functions correctly. Seems like circling in the middle is the easiest strategy for this. Ooh, okay. So we're gonna have to turn that down a little more. Maybe we'll start at 2. So let's start at 3 still. Let's turn this to like that amount. So it'll be 1 faster every 6 seconds. Or 7 seconds, actually. Oh god. You sometimes just end up in those situations where it just doesn't work. I still don't like that. Let me try something. Let's say instead that var I equals timer mod 4. So now it'll be predetermined, is essentially the idea here. Or it'll be somewhat predetermined. You won't randomly get more bullets spawning on one side than the other, is the idea. Okay, I noticed my mistake. This is not at all what this is supposed to look like. But I know why this is looking weird. So we're gonna do this instead. So since it spawns every 8 frames, we basically check the mod of 32, because that'll always return a multiple of 8. We divide it by 4 to get our number. We divide that by 8 to get our number. Did I divide it by 4? I might have divided it by 4. Let me check this. Yeah, I divided it by 4, like a dummy. Alright, there we go. Now this will work as intended. Whew. Okay, so that's pretty hard still. I'm wondering, if we turn this up to like 9... And by the way, I'm gonna make an easier way to count this. Var time equals 9. And we can just calculate this all out. Times 4. Divided by time. This should make it so that it always spawns in this sort of order. We set the base speed to be 2. I mean, the funny thing is that it almost feels a bit easier towards the end. Which is strange. Hmm. I don't know, for now I'm just gonna indicate everything. This should be for phase 9. I mean, if anything, I could just copy this into here. Or if it equals phase 9. Like that. Works for me. Oof. Yeah, I still feel like the start is the hardest. Oof. Hmm. What if we made this even greater? Like, what if we just made it insanely high? Because I think currently the problem is that all the bullets, like, spawn very densely, and then the speed up just makes them really hard to avoid. Let's try not speeding them up as much. So now we have like a more gradual rate of speed up. Oof. Damn it. Ooh. I don't know, maybe I might just need more practice on it, but I don't know, it feels a little unfair. Yeah, that's rough, for sure. Hello, Zal. Hope you're doing good. It's like sometimes it feels okay, but then other times it'll just basically kill you out of nowhere. So it's rough. So that time was technically fine, I just got hit at the end because of the way that boss despawning works. As funny as that is. So that felt fine to a degree. I'm still just wondering, like, do I bother? Okay, I have an idea. So instead, we set the max bullet speed to this. And then we essentially have this speed up from 1 to whatever its maximum speed is. So we set instance speed to that. And we also set the acceleration to be a bit higher. So that means even though the speed will scale up over time, it'll still have every bullet accelerate into it. Which should hopefully reduce cases where you just get a bullet that spawns slightly off screen. Well, that spawns off screen while you're on, like, the edge and manages to snipe you. That's the idea. So now, as long as you're staying away from, like, the absolute edge, shouldn't have cases where you just get sniped. At least in practice, but that's not what seems to be happening. Or on paper, I guess, is what I mean. What if we set this to something a little higher? So that it doesn't scale exactly. Or at least the base speed won't scale exactly. So that felt fine. Although I'm gonna make sure that I test this a bit better. Or a bit more, rather. I wanna make sure it's actually okay. So like that was a callous hit. Okay, I feel like most of those were callous hits, but we'll try it again. Oh god. Now I'm just getting hit all over the place. Hmm. gonna give it one more test run before making any changes. Whoops. That felt okay. I said I'd only do one more, but like it's seeming like this may actually be fair already. Whoops. I shouldn't have done that. I accidentally spawned a target. I sort of autopiloted. Okay, this is an actual test. That felt fine. It's all good, I didn't mean one more time, I meant one more hour. Yeah, I guess. Ooh. Okay, so that actually does feel kind of fair. That lost attack. I'm thinking maybe that should be another attack before the end, though. Um, let's see. Um, should I do that? I don't know. It's worth considering. Um, do I even have another attack that I would want to make, though? It's sort of my question. It's like, I don't even know what I would make at this point. Like, there's already so many. I mean, I guess we could add, like, just a freebie attack as, like, a bit of filler. But I don't know. Like, is that really worth it, or... I don't know. Well, for now, we'll just add another one in for the sake of it. So then I need to change this as well. Okay. So what if I just copied this? Or, sorry, copied... where is it? If I just copied this attack... Or is that the right attack? I don't know. Hang on. Okay, so this is the one that first introduces the tracking bullets. We're gonna... do this. And we're basically just gonna make this a lot less of a cooldown. I guess I should leave this here just cause. Obviously this doesn't do anything, but... We'll see how we go with that. Okay, so this is what our filler attack would look like. Which this is pretty cool, honestly. Although it can just be circled around. It also syncs perfectly with the music, honestly. Alright, what if we set tracking to false on that? Like, we just had that be a circle. I mean, currently it doesn't randomize it at all, so it looks kinda too predetermined. We can mess with that. What if we did a random 360? Just purely random. Wait for Herbius. I mean, I don't know, this attack feels a little bit samey. Because there are already, like, a bunch of attacks that do this exact sort of thing. Okay, I have an idea of how I could make this less samey. Maybe a sweeping beam? I was almost thinking something like that with like a sweeping attack in general. So... Okay, here's an idea that I had. So we do... We basically calculate this out ahead of time. And we do if current mod equals that, or it equals 1 or 2 or 3. It'll basically just do like a burst is essentially the idea. So then we could have this to be like timer. I mean, honestly, we could just have this to equal timer. Timer times 2 so that the angles are a bit more spread out. We only repeat this 4 times. Might actually space this out a little bit more. So essentially this should make it so that they form into almost like curves instead. So we'll see if that works. Should be this attack. Okay, so it worked, it just triggers a bit too frequently. It's also pretty loud. So, what if... We do timer times 3. And then we do timer mod 20. Then we increase these as well. But then I'm also trying to think, like, how could I make this loop a bit better without... Because essentially the problem right now is that they're spawning in too much of, like, a circle pattern again, or like a spiral pattern again, which has happened a lot in this boss fight already. Like, obviously I want to avoid that if I can. Like, I have an idea of how I could do that. So there is a function, or not function, there is something I have set up that allows me to add extra variables to an attack. Or actually, no, I don't even have to do that. Here's an idea instead. We just store it in the boss. Like, store the variable in the boss. So if VOD equals 0, or timer equals 60, we would basically do obj underscore boss dot fire angle equals random 360. Then we just call this from here. Or actually, we'd need to add this to the timer. Would we? No, so we'd add this here. I believe that should work. Though I do just want to comment this quickly. Add... Sorry. Has to store a random angle so that the curves can be randomized, but not between parts of the curve. I mean, that makes sense to me. It's probably not very well explained, but oh well. So now what this should do is the same thing, but it should prevent spirals from happening. Like, just straight up spirals. Should now be pretty random how each carve spawns. Yeah, I mean, it still looks spirally. Yeah, weird. I had to sneeze, which is why I got hit, but... Okay, here's an idea. How about we just spawn it from the center of the screen instead? So we do room width divided by 2. And then room height divided by 2. See how this looks. This actually works pretty well. Maybe we do ×4 here instead. I'm also gonna introduce like a curve direction, which is basically just going to be like either 1 or -1. This should essentially work so that it'll also randomize, like rather than always making the curve in a clockwise direction, it'll sometimes make it in an anti-clockwise direction as well. Which should hopefully be a bit more obvious what that means once we see it. Okay, so the game crashed. That's alright, I know what I did wrong. We do this. so it is a bit more obvious what I mean. Like, you can see that sometimes it'll almost do like a zigzag looking thing, rather than strictly being in like one direction. Now I am gonna have to nerf this a little bit. Crank that up to like 25. I think that's fine. I think speed should probably be a little bit faster to start. Like maybe 2.5. Alright, let's see it. So I believe this should still be a bit faster. Maybe we just set its acceleration really high. What if we do that as well? Do this. Okay, so apart from it bugging out at the start, this feels a lot better, I guess. I mean, obviously I'm still getting hit, but if I was focusing, then I wouldn't be getting hit. Like, this attack isn't actually that bad. So you just have to kind of lock in a little bit. Not too bad once you lock it in. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to adjust that one later. For now, I just want to quickly fix that bug. Because I did notice it was slightly bugged. The timer +4. Ah, okay, I know the problem. Timer -4 is what it should be. In some cases, it actually is beneficial to, like, start going the other way, I'm noticing as well. Which is good. Because so many of the other attacks like this one can just be strafed in one direction. Like, that's a bit more balanced to me. Obviously, I'm still gonna create... Or I still have to create the target layout. I'm thinking we can just kind of copy the one here. We can do orb the phase equals 9. Okay, these are a bit too close to the middle, I think. I don't know how I would fix that necessarily. I guess we just have to copy it manually. That's for this. We'll make this 420 frames instead. Make this 500. So essentially it should be a bigger circle now. Or at least for the targets. Not for the bullets themselves. I will say the targets are a little bit distracting in this one. Like, just visually. Honestly, it may be better to just have a couple instead. Like, what if we just put one at each corner? That could be a fun idea. Let's try it. What if I just manually did all of this? So we do equals 100, 100. We do room width minus 100. We do this and room height minus 100. This is a very, like, hacky way to do this as well, for the record. I understand this isn't optimal, but like, this should just be in like a for loop or a repeat loop, but I'm not gonna bother. Okay, those positions are still a bit too difficult. Like, they're a bit too far out of the way. Let me try putting them a bit closer from the edges. Okay, so we go up, up. Okay. Let's try this instead. Also thinking I might further reduce the spawn rate of this. What if we did 30 timer minus 0? Okay, let's look at this. That feels a lot better. Honestly. Like, that feels significantly better. Then, of course, we have this attack. Whoops. Alright. I guess the only thing that I would do here is just create an indicator. So where do we have one where it just spawns from the center? Because those do exist. Why does this one not have a warning? That's odd. Which attack is that? I'm getting sort of sidetracked, but... Oh, Oh, I see. No, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Alright, back on track. Where do we have one that's just by itself? There should be one. Okay, hang on. Where do we have an attack that spawns in the center of the screen? Because there should be at least one. Why am I struggling to find this? Oh, here it is. Center Spinner is the 20th attack? Let's try copying that over. Sorry, it should be the 19th attack, right? Oh my god. Okay, hang on. No, it's attack 15. Am I stupid? Yeah, okay, I'm stupid. Apparently. That makes sense. There we go. Alright. Side tangent, you're digging this band, hadn't heard them before? Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, by all means, I really like playing, like, you know, metal on the stream. It's kind of one of my favorite genres, so I'm glad I could share some of the good ones that I've found. So, yeah, by all means. Okay. So this should now indicate correctly for this second lost attack. I feel like that's good enough. Alright. So on that note, unfortunately I will be finishing up the stream now. Obviously a bit of a shorter stream. I am sorry about that. But basically one of my friends is playing something that I kind of really want to watch. And on top of that, tomorrow I'm hoping to wake up in time to catch some of Summer Games Fest. Like I'm considering doing a like sort of a watch along or like watch party of that. So like no guarantees, but we'll see if I can get that up and running. Like I was thinking of grabbing a few friends for that. But otherwise, that should be it for now. I'll either be back tomorrow or the day after that. Yeah, let me set up the raid real quick. I appreciate you all watching. If you do need to head out or anything like that, that's all good. So, yeah, on that note, thank you all for watching. I'll see you either tomorrow